You've been here for a while. I have changed my style. And by that I mean I like being closer to you. When I'm up on the stage, I feel disconnected. I like to be able to feel your energy. So send me some energy. Okay, that was nice. Thank you. That was really fun. So, as you all know, I get a lot of inspiration from stuff I see online. It really makes me think. And that's what happened earlier when I saw this topic that we're going to be talking about today called the 3 C's. As soon as I saw it, I knew immediately I was going to do a talk about it because not only was it kind of clever how these words came together, but also it was spiritually very profound for me. But as I was putting this talk together, I kept thinking about all the other C words that I could use to write talks about. I mean, I could do a whole series of talks about C words. There's consciousness, there's compassion, there's clarity, there's courage, there's commitment, just to name a few, right? That would make like a nice series of talks. Can I get an amen to that? Okay, so we may be doing that in the future, but not today. Because today we're going to talk about the 3 C's that I had originally planned. And the first one is chance. Now, when I say chance, I am not talking about luck or coincidence. Because in this teaching, we don't believe in luck or coincidence. It's true that sometimes circumstances and people come into our lives where it appears that it's lucky or it appears that it's a coincidental. But what's really happening when we have those things that appear to be lucky or a good chance, what's really happening is the natural response of the universe to our thoughts and our beliefs. In other words, we have attracted those people and we've attracted those things by right of consciousness, by our thinking. And then when we recognize them and we see these opportunities and we act on them, what we're doing is basically making our own luck. Does that make sense to you? So that's the kind of chance that I want to talk about today. The opportunities, the openings, the possibilities. Because the truth is we are living in a universe where the opportunities are absolutely limitless. The chance to succeed, the chance to be happy, the chance to be self-expressed, the chance to have love is everywhere. We are living in a sea of limitless potential. Just breathe that in for a second. We are living in a sea of limitless potential. The challenge is that many people are looking to the God out there. You know the guy I'm talking about, right? The guy with the flowing white beard and long hair and all, you know, that guy. We're looking to that God, him, to provide us with, oh, could we just have a wee little bit of luck? And then we don't recognize that we're absolutely surrounded by it. In other words, when we are looking to outside forces like God or other people to make things happen for us, we don't realize that it always starts right here, inside of us, first. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, had quite a bit to say about this. He said, everything that is consciously and subconsciously embodied in our thinking tends to radiate an atmosphere, a vibration, a current of thought, an inward acceptance which automatically attracts to itself that which is like itself. That's another way of putting the law of attraction, right? Who we are, what we are inside, what we're thinking about inside sends out a vibration that then returns back to us. That's basic metaphysics. It's basic science of mind. We live in an inside-out universe. So we embody it here first, we get the mental equivalent of it first, and then we experience it in the material world out here. So let me give you an example. As many of you know, I just recently celebrated 30 years of sobriety on St. Patrick's Day. Honest to God, it really is St. Patrick's Day. It's generally considered to be the day of good luck, right? And it certainly was for me. I had my last drink ever in my life on March 16th, 1986. Now, my life at that time was pretty much of a mess, as you can imagine, from a good 10 to 15 years of riotous living, shall we say. So as a result, I didn't really think that I was going to get too many chances to have a successful life. I was already close to 30 years old, and yes, do the math. All right. So I didn't think that there was going to be... I didn't think there was going to be a whole lot available to me. However, by the grace of God, and I mean this absolutely sincerely, I was able to stay sober, and I began studying the principles of science of mind. And what happened was I started to develop the consciousness, the awareness, the expectancy, the inner belief that I had the right to be happy and successful. And in these 30 years, what's happened is that I have seen and I have attracted many, many opportunities that have showed up for me that is allowing me to live the life that I live. Not that I'm all that much or particularly blessed by God, but what happened was I did the inner work. I did the work necessary so that I could claim my chances when they appeared to me. That making sense to you? Let me share with you what Abraham Lincoln said. He said, I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. And then Louis Pasteur said, chance favors the prepared mind. Chance favors the prepared mind. So our job is to do our inner work so that when our chance does show up by right of consciousness, we recognize it and we act on it. So that brings me to our second C, which is choice. At every moment of your life, at every moment of your life, you are at choice as to how you are going to respond. Now, we may not always think we're at choice. There are times when it's like, I don't have a choice here. Yes, you do. Always at choice, always at choice. And when that choice makes itself known, then we get to decide. We get to choose what we are going to do when something shows up. We're either going to act on it or we're going to let it go by. Raise your hand if you've ever had an idea or an opportunity that has come to you and for whatever reason you've let it pass, you've let it go by, and then you see it later on, and it's an idea and it's happened in reality and someone other than you is having great success with it. Mine is years and years ago, at the gym, you know, when you're on the treadmill or something like this, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if somebody put like a TV screen right there on the bike or the treadmill or something like that? You could see nature, you could watch something like that. I thought that like 30, 35 years ago. Of course, I was drunk, but... Don't feel bad if that's happened, because it's actually happened to absolutely everybody. Because it's an idea whose time had come. It just wasn't your idea. It wasn't yours to do it. You made a choice. And life is all about making choices. Another great Ernest Holmes quote. Man has self-choice, or he would not be a person. And having choice implies that there must be more than one thing from which to choose. the very freedom with which he is endowed makes it possible for him to use that freedom, at least temporarily, in a way that will restrict him. Otherwise, he will not be free. In other words, we always have a choice, and sometimes we don't choose very well. And we have the consequences of those choices. Is this making sense to you? Because the good news is, the more awake we become, the more aware we become, we learn to trust ourselves. We learn to trust those chances that come up, and we learn to trust that the choices that we make are going to be for our best and highest good. Let me give you another example. I'm using my own life as examples today. Years ago, after I had graduated from ministerial studies, I actually created two different chances or two different opportunities to do ministry. Since I was 32 years old, I knew I wanted to do ministry, but I didn't know what that was going to look like. So I went through ministerial training, and I created these two opportunities. One of them was going to require another year of study so that I could be an assistant minister at a center where I was already very active. And this was a very safe choice for me because it didn't involve a whole lot of risk other than some more time and some more money, right? The other choice was to take over this tiny, struggling little church in Temecula, California as the senior only minister. And even though I could do it right away, I could accept the job right now, it was a much larger risk emotionally because I didn't know what one was a very successful center, and this one was basically, there were 12 people in the congregation, $35 in the checking account. So two really different circumstances. So chance gave me two different choices. And each one would give me the opportunity to be a minister, which is something I've been working at for years. Each one had the pluses and the minuses, and each one would require something different of me. So I was at choice. I went within, and I weighed the two options. And after much soul searching and prayer, I made the decision to take the bigger risk. And I agreed to become the minister of the Temecula Center right away. And I never, ever regretted that choice. It was the right one for me at the moment. And it led me to more learning, to more growth, to more insights, to more opportunities, to more expressing of myself than the other one ever would have. So I am so grateful for the training that I had, and most of all, the faith of the wisdom within me to make the best choice for myself. And the truth is, we all have that wisdom. We all have that knowledge. We all have the intelligence of the universe available to us all of the time. But we need to learn how to trust it by trusting ourselves that we're going to make the choices that are for our best and highest good. Because when that chance happens and we make that choice, we know that we are making it from a higher place, from a higher consciousness. Another Holmes quote. He said, "There is within each one of us an intelligence which may be called upon, utilized, and experienced. Blessed are they who, having not seen, in confidence believe and recognize that in themselves the Creator of all things has poured forth a supreme gift, the ability to choose for themselves what they shall think and thus create for themselves a life filled with all the good they can envision." Whew. You might want to take a picture of that one, because that's a really good quote. You know, if you ever want a quote, all you have to do is email me, and I'm happy to send it to you. Especially these Holmes quotes that are so meaty. They're so wonderful. So, when we're in that place of confidence in ourselves, and when we know our oneness with the divine, we can trust ourselves to make the choice that is best for us. Yes? Which then brings us to our third C, and we've actually heard quite a bit about it today already, and the third C is change. Yeah. I don't know about you, but change is kind of a bad word to me, you know? I'm all about change for other people. A little bit reluctant to do it for myself. However, as Leslie's reading so beautifully said, one of the absolute constants in life is change. Not only is it essential for growth of any body, it's inevitable. It's normal. It's natural. I love this quote. If nothing ever changed, there would be no butterflies. Yeah. Yeah. So, because we are the kind of people who are learning to live an awake and alive life, then doesn't it stand to reason that we would embrace change consciously and on purpose? Really? Like do it on purpose? Doesn't it make sense that we would actually look for ways to grow and look for ways to change rather than just have change happen to us? Because as we've just learned, we find out that chance makes itself available to us by right of consciousness. And we find out that choice, when we have a chance, then we have a choice. So isn't it now time for us to learn that to change in order to take advantage of the chances and the choices as they appear to us? Continuing with my story, I had the chance to become a minister, and then I made a choice of which one I wanted to do. And it turns out that was the easy part, just choosing which one I was going to take. I then actually had to change to accommodate my choice. For instance, I gave up any sense for a long, long time of anything called free time, because I was working a regular job 4 days a week, and I was doing ministry 3 days a week. I had to commute 65 kilometers. I did the calculation, it's 40 miles. So about 65 kilometers from my hometown to where the center was, in those 3 days that I was doing ministry, so there went my cushy in-town job. And eventually, I did the ultimate change, and I moved to Temecula so that I could feel more part of the community. I made a bigger change a few years later. I moved to Canada, but that's a different story. We'll do that one we'll do that another time. Because in addition to all those physical changes that I had to do, I also had to do internal changes too. Because I've never been a leader before. I mean, maybe a leader in personality, but I've never actually had to be the decision maker before, right? I was always in a support role in my jobs before that. And so I had to learn how to rely on my internal compass and my confidence so that I could actually be the leader that I was being hired to be. And trust me, I blew it a lot. But I would take those mistakes and I would learn from them and I would make changes. So that now, when I blow it, a lot, still do, I still take those mistakes and I change gracefully, I change on purpose. The Japanese have a business method that's called Kaizen. Have you ever heard of Kaizen? Kai means change and Zen means good. This is a business practice that they have. And when applied to business or in life, it means continuous, slow improvement or change for the better. Think about that in a business standpoint. What they are saying to you is, we want you to change, we want you to grow, but do it continuously and slowly. Continuous, slow improvement. So that when we undertake Kaizen as a spiritual practice, when we take on change consciously and on purpose, we help make that change graceful, longer lasting, and permanent. Let me give you a for instance. When I decided that I wanted to be a minister, I didn't understand how it was going to take me 7 more years of study. I already had a bachelor's degree. What do you mean I had to go to school for 7 more years? I was smart. I could do the book learning in no time. But what I was told that makes perfect sense to me now is that developing the consciousness of ministry or of anything worthwhile takes the time it takes. I could do the book learning, but I wouldn't have the consciousness unless I was steeped in the teaching and allowed it to become who I am. That is slow, continuous improvement. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about developing consciousness so that it sticks. So the secret is to continue to do the work, to make the changes, to become steeped in that thing, and to trust the process. So there you have it. The 3 C's are chance, choice, and change. And now you have the chance to put it into practice by making the choice to go to our workshop later on today, or the other workshops that we have coming along. But only do it if you're interested in being changed for good. I love you, and so it is.